The Henry Ford Village Industry Mills were small-scale factories located throughout rural southeast Michigan.
We have 4 in our park system. We have Phoenix, Newburgh, Wilcox, and Nankin.
The parks coming from the Fords, going through Rosie the Riveter period of tooling up for wartime.
In the 1940s, all of these mills were retooled for World War II efforts. For example, Phoenix Mill, all of the women employed there produced B-24 bomber parts. It employed the first all-female workforce. They were paid exactly the same as men, and it was just women employed at Phoenix Mill.
They did voltage regulators. It has 2 little magnets in it, which the women could wind them faster than men could. So Henry said, let's make sure that only women get hired for this plant.
So the mills were used for storage. The mills have been used for our maintenance equipment and some of our staff, like Newburgh, and then the mills were used for road equipment. When I read the history of Phoenix Mills, it really saddened me that what it was, and especially what it meant to women, and to see it being used for storage. We had to have a plan.
The Mill Run project for me is a connectivity project. It's a project that kind of fundamentally changes the way we've looked at Wayne County parks.
I've lived in Wayne County all my life, and I can't remember a time when the Phoenix Mill was operational. It's been an eyesore for all of us in western Wayne County.
I believe the county nor Henry Ford had the intent for the mills to be used in that fashion.
Now, they were all old manufacturing sites, very likely to be contaminating the ground. And so when you go to Newburgh Mill, you're not going to Newburgh Park. You're going to a place that has a fence, that has sort of weeds growing around the fence, big signs that say do not enter, authorized personnel only, and danger. There is a tower, unfortunately, on Newburgh that is very obviously leaning, and you can, if you walk up close to it, you see the bricks sort of starting to pull away. Over the course of 70 years, the historical integrity of the building is sort of falling apart.
Even where we're sitting now, where the Sheriff's Mounted Unit is, we're right here on Newburgh Lake. The horses have a great view of lakefront property. I think the horses would be just as content somewhere else in the park with more room to pasture. And really, there's no way that I can see with our existing budget. It would be nice if the county could fix them, but the reality is we can't.
We cannot do it. We have to think out of the box. We have to have a partner to do that.
When I walked through Northville Mill, I was just incredibly impressed on how you can take these older structures and renovate them and adapt them to be, what is usable today, and just how his attention to detail was really impressive. He kept all the original windows, he kept some of the boilers almost from a sculptural standpoint. He didn't, completely get rid of its kind of original integrity, which I was impressed with.
We want to bring it as a destination point so that people can come through the building, learn more about the history of the building. And our desire, just like in Northville, is to put it on the National Historic Register so it remains a piece of history.
We want to ensure that we preserve the historic integrity that is there while aligning it for a contemporary use for the community. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, which is basically the gold standard for historic preservation.
We're looking at opportunities to, number 1, improve the park, number 2, improve the use of the park, number 3, create more diversity of activity in the park.
We think that this becomes a wedding venue, parties, Christmas parties. It'll be big enough that we can use the outdoors with tents, and we've got a big plan for the park and how it interfaces with the river, so that when we're not doing an event, our plan is to let people just walk the parkland, and it'll become a part of the community.
Hines Park runs from Northville to Dearborn, and these kind of run along the park system in the different communities. And this gives us, from a standpoint of planning, an ability to activate them in areas where there might not be as many amenities.
There are things that would attract people to the park, allow them to have more fun, and also creating paths and connectivity to the local communities that the park traverses through, and so that people have hiking paths, bicycle paths down into the Central Park.
Imagine a day where a family or a couple going on a date can come to Naked Mills and rent a bike or a scooter, and then start traveling north and west. You know, make your way all the way to the Newburgh Mill in Livonia, have a cocktail, get to experience that beautiful lake. Hopefully keep traveling in that direction, go to Wilcox, you know, have a cafe, see some great art. End your day, hopefully, you know, at Phoenix Mill over there in Plymouth Township and get a good dinner.
Or a kayaking experience in Hines Park. We've been working very closely with the county and other developers to really turn that into a destination spot for everybody.
We want to make sure that these are preserved in a way that is contextual for the community and that really preserves that history and heritage for those in the future before it's lost forever.
And the irony is that people say, well, if we sell these assets, you know, they're lost forever. The fact of the matter is they're lost right now. And unless we do something to capture the essence, that history, that culture, there's no chance of getting it back.
The Mills Runs project will preserve our history for the next 100 years.